It is, without a doubt, the most requested rollercoaster type on this channel, and I think I've probably held you all off for long enough. It is time to see how your beloved RMC Hybrids fare against the Thememaker Toolkit Banhammer. Hey up you lot, welcome back to the park that's not testing the resolve of my PC anytime soon because I'm not allowed to use Thememaker's Toolkit items. Yeah, that's right, welcome back to Jiffity Point where I can only use base game pieces. But you know what, it's going alright because this is everything we managed to achieve in the last episode. I think it looks alright myself, I'm pretty chuffed with it. But you can see this week's edition, just a small edition, sitting pretty in the background. Yeah, that's right. It's time to welcome RMC to the channel again. And it's been a while. You guys have waited a long time for this one, but we're going to wave hello at Funspot America for this one. For a coaster that I know I'm going to mispronounce a lot. So guys, I'm back at work this week, so I need to work with a really small area. And this is the area that I'm working with. We have our station. We come down into an outer banked turn here. And then, of course, we go into a small ejector airtime hill. In fact, it's probably arguable. It's not like ejector airtime at this point, but it's an airtime hill regardless. Then we're going to come into the lift hill, and then of course it comes into the near vertical drop. And then we are going to follow some similarities from this point to Airy Force 1. I don't know if I said that right, but I mean, I know I've been saying Chin Dynasty wrong for the last couple of episodes, so we'll just add it to the list of things that Chacho said wrong. We come then into the ejector. This will be an ejector airtime by this time. Ejector airtime hill, and then into a dive loop. And I have copied the profiling of Airy Force 1 from here, so you do like the outer bank, and then you turn back on yourself and you dive down the dive loop into this bit. And then, of course, we have another ejector airtime hill, which just straightens out the track out of the dive loop. And then we come into a double up because this is supposed to be an airtime machine. And then we come into a really steep drop. This is kind of inspired a little bit by the Comadon one right at the end where it goes down the cliff, so that's kind of what I wanted to do here. And then of course it comes into your typical zero G stall. Yes, of course you need a zero G stall. Are you even a park without one? No, you are not. And then we come into a fast-paced outer bank turn, similar to Airy Force 1, but not the same. And because it comes into a double down here, into a really fast zero G roll, into a turn that then follows through into another zero G roll as it drops down, and then it comes into an outer bank, an inner bank, and then what goes into as an inner bank and outer bank turn. I am not sold on this. My gut is telling me that this should just be a normal turn and it shouldn't be an outer bank, so I'm going to need to play that one out. And then we come into a double down, and then we come into their break run. So there you go. We've got a Western theme going on for this one. So now I've shown you around, I better show you the rest, right? See you in a minute. Oh, and then guys, here we are in the middle part of the episode. You know where there's enough that's done that we can talk about, but there's enough still left to do that you can speculate about, and it's a bit of a mess, and it gets a little bit awkward, and I ramble a little bit, probably like you're thinking now. So let's just get straight on with it, shall we? Because as you can see, there is quite a bit that we can actually talk about. I'm just not even getting into that hostage situation just yet. Let's start down here in the station area. So this building is coming together quite nicely. You can see that this whole area has sort of expanded a little bit. I did originally think I was going to be just in this area here, but this ride has now got a prestige of 1200. It needed a longer queue. The only way I could do that is spill it out into this area. That kind of gave birth to this building here and this whole thing that I'm playing with. I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's do the station here first. So the actual building itself, really simple. I wanted to keep this simple. It's difficult to do something that is almost as good as the one you've just done in the Royal Mile, but was also different enough to be different. And I think we're achieving that here. Remember, we don't have Thememaker's Toolkit to work with, so we're all good. But I wanted this idea of having the pitched roof, but I wanted these beams to not meet at the top. So that's why we've got a little bit of an off angle pitch going on here. And then of course you've got the supporting braces and whatever. Don't know if I'm going to put brackets and stuff in here. I need to put the roof on and see how that feels, but it's looking all right. You know, I quite like how this is, and we're mixing up different wood styles, right? So we've got the 4-pillar technique here. That's going to be consistent across the whole park. I'm going to be using those because I use those in the entrance area, so it's going to be consistent across everything else. But this whole thick beam, 4 pillars, and then this other one here, it's 3 different wood types. Well, actually 4 if you include the lining here. I'm here for that. That's how I want this. That's how I want this to be. Inside the station, then I have just started to kit it out with the bits that you need. So you've got a baggage hold there, a couple of signs that are up. You've got the electronics and whatever that are going in, and then I started to get a feel for how the theming and stuff is going to be in this station. The technique here, by the way, is being able to place a flat sign, put your text on, and then sync it in I think it's 1 pixel behind the actual main artway here. The main art here, so that sinks it in and it just makes it look like there's no sign there. So you saw me do that in the time lapse, I think, but yeah, this is quite commonly used. I haven't used it in a while actually, but it is quite commonly used. And on the outside of this bit, then it is just your rough brick, and then I'm just mixing up the wood walls here. So this top one is just the barn door turned backwards, and then it's windows as walls, as we would say, and then the normal wood that's going on that side. And then this bit here, I wanted the ramp to be close to the coaster, but of course you're at a height and you are also at you're very close to a very fast-moving train. So what I've done is I've just put the don't die fencing down here to stop people throwing stuff over the side and whatever. So that's kind of needed, and it's kind of there. I don't know if I'm going to keep the wood floor here. I need to sort of like play it out and see how the rest of the area feels, right? But I'm liking how this is coming together. In the back end here, then we've got the maintenance area. So the maintenance is really simple on this one. You would get a crane and a cherry picker and stuff in here, and it would lean over. That's perfectly viable. That's perfectly doable. So this just needs to be a workspace. It doesn't need vehicular access or anything like that. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going for a similar style to the station to keep it consistent, but otherwise it's up on stilts. And if you look at Area Force 1, it's actually it's open. There's no shelter, there's no shade, there's nothing, so this is already one up. But because of the way that this is configured, I did need to put an extra catwalk in here, so that's what I've done. So I've just used the scaffolding set from the the adventure pack, just to make the extra catwalk. And then I think this is the beachfront fence. I can't remember what it is, but it's one that came with, I don't even remember. It's in there anyway. And then down here, I just started to get a feel for the queue. Started to put some of the dirt down so I know where stuff is. And I've also started to put the path covers down so I get a feel for what textures and stuff I've got in this area and how it's going to work out, so I know what foliage and whatever to use later on. I've gone for the firehouse, by the way. I don't know if I can zoom in. I've gone for the firehouse coloured a dark grey. I wanted it to look like it's dark tarmac. So that's what I've gone for here, and then I just started to put the stuff around this area. Don't die fencing here, by the way, because you definitely cannot collide with the train in this instance. So you're all good. You're all good to go. Photo unit is down here, so this is starting to come into shape the vibe that I'm going for with this building. It's nice and simple. So should we go and have a chat about probably what is the biggest hostage situation of this park so far? You know, we said that we were going to come here and do fun. This was not fun. This drew me right back to the Schwarzkopf that we did in Royal Mile, and just the whole hostage situation that came with custom supporting. I've got a bit of tidying up here that I need to do, right? But this is the best you're going to get with RMC style supports, because you just don't have the pieces in Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster is so geared up to be big and grand. You can't do intricate and scale, right? So that makes this sort of stuff really, really impossible. So there are thinner beams in this to use. This is one of the beams that comes with the coaster support set, right? There are thinner beams that you can use, but you don't have what I consider quarter size beams. You only have half and full length, which is 2 meters and 4 meters. So the only beam that you've got where this comes in a quarter length is the ones that look too thick. So purists amongst you, have a day off. It's representative of the right supporting structure, the right supporting technique. That will do. But do you know what? I'm actually quite chuffed with this whole catwalk here. So because you have to get rid of the supports, it gets rid of the catwalk with it. So you have to put your own in here. So I've actually put the stairs in. It looks all right. It's just wood beams. Wood planks. That's all it is. Covered off with then the road sign. Not covered off. Sorry. It's then supported by the road sign pole that you get, that's now acting as the banister. So it works. Is it perfect? No. Would you do a better job with Thememaker's Toolkit? Yeah, you absolutely would, and the stuff is out there. But this is good enough. Squint and it does what it needs to do. And likewise with this pass here. When I was looking at Airy Force 1 and all of the others, actually they're just two supporting columns with this bit in the middle that joins it. There you go, as the train goes through. Ta-da! Check the clearances, they're all okay, by the way. And then you just got the normal stuff, the normal supports either side. Now I am going to take the slightly controversial route and say I'm going to accept the supports everywhere else in the coaster, right? I've tried to do the custom supporting here. It was just a mess. In fact, I don't even think it's in the time lapse. I just deleted it. It's done. I'm just going to controversially accept the supports that come with this coaster. And then everything else, the supports are all fine. So it's all good. I have put the concrete pillars down here because, of course, this is sitting on water. I think I need to think about flooding, though. I might need to put some gaps and stuff in here. And I still need to do the concreting around this area. I don't quite know what the strategy is for that just yet. I need to see how that's going to play out. And then the final thing to look at is just this building here. This is sort of like coming together. I think it's going to get done this episode. It's looking slightly gothic. That's by design. That's deliberate. So yeah, this is just a design I want to flesh out. Let's talk about that more in the final update, because I don't really know where I'm going with it at the moment. All I know is it's a food unit, so that's it. So this is how it's looking from the top. It's starting to come together quite westerny, right? So I better carry on. See you in a minute. Oh, you guys, just like every other project you're going to undertake in your life, you have to prevent scope creep. So, the Done For Now stamp is coming out because this coaster is done, and it is everything I wanted it to be. And in fact, so is this remake of Jippity Point as well. I mean, like, look, I could have just fallen into this trap of doing a remix rather than a remake, but then you wouldn't have had sights like this. Oh, I'm loving it. It's just turning into this really small, intimate park that has just got so much character and so much personality. And I mean, is it Phantasialand? No, of course it's not. But it is just turning into a beauty of a park. And I'm having so much fun putting this together. Like, oh, yes, 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 yes. And this is the area, of course, that we've been working in. If you've got the original park file, you'll be familiar with the fact that the Woody is in a similar position. But this area just comes together so much nicer, especially when you've got the consistent path cover that you've got here. It gives that consistent texture. And, oh, yes. I love it. Like, the queue lines had all of its gubbins done to it. It's had all of its foliage and flowers and stuff adding, and I've used the techniques for the windows turned up and the soil and stuff, and it looks so clean, and I am so here for it. Oh, yes. So looking at the station then, this is everything I wanted the station to be. The actual roof itself didn't feel like it was complete. So I added this extra bit on the top, and it's now in line with the eave here that you've got. So it gives a weird symmetry to it, a weird beauty, but it's also different enough, and it breaks it up. So yes, this is what I wanted to have with the beams then, as the train goes by, when they don't actually meet at the top, they meet in a crisscross. Yes, it just gives this like intricacy, so it's just nice to look at. And then inside the station, I have done all of the theming and stuff inside here, so we're good to go. I've just kitted it out with all of the usual stuff. And then you can probably hear, because I'm shouting over it, Ross Budgeon has made a return. His music for the Wild West has come back. We first used it in Cadnam Castle for the Dark Ride, but I've used it again because it's perfect for this park. So yes, of course there's no name for the coaster. If you want to leave a name, please do. It's in the comments below. I'm absolutely here for those kinds of things. And you can see here you've got the Western stuff that's been scattered around. But I've used this pirate stuff down here, right? The sandstone. I did this accidentally. I wanted there to be some kind of something on the pathway, just to break up the texture a little bit, just to give it something a little bit different to look at. I did this completely accidentally, threw it down, and I was like, oh, I quite like that. To the point that I actually did it down here as well. There you go. But the difference is I threw some trees in because it felt like it needed some trees and some shade and stuff. And then of course when this area opens up, we're behind construction fences and stuff at the moment. When this area opens up, this is going to look really good. It's going to be like a perfect plaza area. So yes. Right, so before we go and have a look at the other building, let's just take a quick look at photos, because this is the photo unit. Quite like how this is. You get a decent view of the lift hill and stuff. And of course, the park in the background isn't done yet, but get a decent view of the lift hill, decent view of the zero-G stall. And then I've just kitted out the stuff in the background with all the usual stuff that you find. I still can't put images on the screen though, so I think it's actually a Planet Coaster problem rather than a PC problem. So every time I try, it crashes, and it's both my PCs that are doing it. So God knows why. I don't know why. But anyway, I did manage to find this little element here. This little piece is actually better used as a base unit for a computer. It's in I think it's the Knight Rider pack or the Munsters pack, Back to the Future. It's one of those three anyway. Works far better as a base unit than the crap that I pulled together. So I'm going to go back and swap it out. And I think that's going to be the thing for the computers. But yeah, it's all done. And then of course you've got the poster. Well, the fireworks that are acting as a poster stand here, so just gives that finalized, you know, brings it together, pulls it together quite nicely. I like how small this area is. It just works so good, doesn't it? Yes. Sorry, I'm going to come down here one more time because I just love the view that you get. This RMC just frames this area so well. Yes. Anyway, stop it, Chacha, you're gawping. So maintenance area then is all done as well. I have finished this off with all its usual clutter and stuff. I put these tyres in, right? I don't know why I put them in, because I thought, oh, they could just be replacement tyres for here, for the drive wheels and stuff, but they're a bit big. Do we just leave them? Yeah, why not? So, whatever. But yeah, that's the maintenance area, and then of course this is how this is looking from this side. It's got brilliant views, so good. So let's have a look at this building then, because this is well, it's not finished, because it's the area I'm doing next week is going to be Gothic inspired, right? So, or it's going to have some kind of spooky Gothic to it. So this is why I wanted this building to be a transitional building, and that's why we've got some Gothic-y style wood and stuff on here. But I like how this is. Like, it has to look good from the pathway, so it does look good from down here, and it's framed off quite nicely by the 0G rolls that we've got on this coaster here. So it looks all right. And then inside, I have actually kept it rather Western. That's by design. I wanted it to be Western. And this roof, this ceiling, I'm not entirely sold on it. But, you know, I wanted to have, like, this idea of there being this gap above the ceiling where the light and stuff could shine through. Like a recess. Is it a recess? Do they call it a recess? And I didn't like it. So I ended up then copying it and scooting it across. And it created a solid thing. And, yeah, it looks all right. It's a new technique. I've never done it before. So... yeah, it looks good. It looks good. So whilst we're over here, let's also talk about profiling of the track, because you might have spotted that I have actually changed it. This bit down here was probably a little bit too close to the station, so I've just pulled it out and I've given it a little bit more room to breathe. And I did decide that this did need to be a continuous bank, because it wasn't right. It just wasn't right. And then, of course, over this way, that's then led me to tighten this curve up a little bit as well, so that this is still consistent. And then you do have the overbank, and then the overbank there. So we're good to go. But let's talk about this for a minute, because I've sort of held off in the episode, but I do want to do a specific PSA about this, right? Planet Coaster doesn't like doing RMC track. We know that. That's not a secret. And that's because you have to do like adverse camber track here, right? So this bit here, the Planet Coaster wants it to be the other way around. It wants it to be inner banked rather than outer banked. That's fine. That's how it goes. But what that then does, what that means is when you're using smooth, it tries to move it back to traditional shaping. So you lose a lot of the stuff that you do. So you end up having to overcompensate to then bring it back. There's techniques and stuff that you can use, right? But the camera then comes along when you're riding it, and it rides like absolute trash. So what you end up with is sort of like this bit here, where the 0G stalls are a very specific profiling on an RMC. Like, there is a very specific thing. It has to be symmetrical. It has to be a certain angle. You have to do it in a certain... you have to do the full 180 degrees within a certain space. And you come along having done the 4, 5, 6, 1 meter method, and it just ruins it. It ruins all of your work. So you have to kind of have this trade-off. You have to have this fight between adverse camber track, the smooth tool wanting it to be traditional, and then the Planet Coaster camera riding it like absolute trash. So you have to sort of sit there and go, good is good enough. I would rather it looked as perfect as I can get it, rather than riding perfect. So the purist amongst you that are going to sit there and go, oh, it doesn't ride very well, it's not as smooth as it could be, just know that I fought with the game enough to go, that's good enough. So it should be for you too. Back off. But it looks good. Like, the supports have all come together. I've put in the escape platform and stuff here. It's all looking as it should. I kind of wanted this to be a little bit wider. I had different visions for this area. Like, I wanted the lift hill to go over the water, and I wanted this bit to go over the water. But do you know what? It's all right. It's all right. I did end up doing a bit of terrain here rather than concrete, because I did think about flooding, and I have also made a couple of gaps and stuff. So I've accounted for all of that. But yeah, ultimately, it's all looking good. Like, the sightline from across the way here, like from here, yes, it's good. It's really, really good. Right, thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode, guys. It's time to spoil next week. So this is the coaster you're getting next week. You'll be forgiven for seeing it, for thinking that you've seen it before. There it is. That's all you're getting. And this is Jibbity Point from the top, end of episode 3. No Thememaker's Toolkit. How are you finding it? Let me know what you reckon in the comments below, please, guys. So we're going to go for a ride so you can see how jank it actually turns out to be. But it's good. It's all good. It's fine. Thank you, guys. Have a good week. See you next week. Take care. Bye.